This conference will now be recorded.
Hold on, give him a second. Michael, hit your mic. There you go.
Okay, it is now 3:05 and this town council workshop will start to begin, just so that anybody that tuned into us, the reason that we're late is we had a hard time connecting with the GoToMeeting to record the meeting. So here it is 5 minutes after 3 and we'll proceed.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to allow for public comments. We have a few people here. Something.
Okay. And that's second. Is there any comments before we vote on that? Mr. Stanley?
Yes.
Over? Yes. Eden?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Great.
Yes.
And I'm yes too. So we will have public comment and that will be proceeding in the meeting. So give us just a minute. Ask for public comments. Are there any public comments?
Do you want to present the information first so that they know what you're commenting on? We do public comments after the information is presented.
So they have the information.
Yeah, 4
Come on,
seconds
Eric.
ago. Yeah.
Harry Cohen, 10th Avenue North. I'm the parking committee chairman. Parking committee has been around for about 2 months, and in that time, we get about 6 months worth of meetings. We're meeting every other week. And we're trying to get this done as quickly as possible. Parking season's in effect already, but the rental season isn't. So we're trying to get things done before the masses come. Before I came to this meeting, I rode around Ocean Boulevard, quick survey. Just about every single beach access / parking lot is almost filled to capacity. Not everyone, but from 6 north to 6 south, every space was taken. I know it's April, but it is spring break, but it's not anywhere near the rental season. There's hardly any beach houses rented. So with that, I'm going to give you some of our recommendations. The first one being First Avenue South Golf Cart and Park, Beta Park. Problem is the west side of Ocean Boulevard has a sidewalk installed, further eliminating the amount of parking in the E district. That sidewalk installed, west side Ocean Boulevard between Surfside Drive and First Avenue South to increase pedestrian safety, which has eliminated parking along that strip. Presently, the town has placed golf cart parking signs on First Avenue South between Ocean Boulevard, eastward to the ocean, and that's on the north side of the street. What we propose is to make the parking spaces for golf carts staggered, which would increase the amount of parking to approximately, will increase the amount of parking approximately 10 more spaces. Fire department was consulted with, and they have no safety concern about getting emergency fire apparatus into that area if there was adequate parking there. And also to free up more spaces for cars in the area, we recommend that you allow motorcycles to park in that area also. Motorcycle, just a little bit smaller than a golf cart, but it would be a good fix. And with that, we think that you put, this is an old one. There's also another recommendation to pave that, the north side, that strip there, so that it'd be easier to stripe and the motorcycles to park. And we'd also like it to be paved park, using Park Mobile or Dexter Park. Any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Harry, did anybody think about also behind the golf carts, painting in the pedestrian walkway and whether that would have an impact on the fire apparatus. Because that's a big pedestrian walkway as well there. And that may also somewhat help the people going the wrong way on the one-way street but I don't know how far that encroaches out into the street that's there. Was that thought of?
Chief Hoffman brought up, he thought that the grass walkway that's on the opposite side is sufficient for pedestrian travel back and forth there. That the golf carts would be angled in, and that would make them back out and go the correct direction on the road. Right now, with it being parallel parking, you're getting people parking both directions all the time. This will kind of automatically, not to mention you more than double the amount of spaces that way.
Well, I just see a lot of people going to that beach access with all their wagons and chairs and everything, that I don't think that small strip up against the fence, in my opinion, would really come. I mean, if I'm walking, that might be one thing, but if I'm walking with 2 and 3 kids and 4 beach bags and 2 dogs, I don't think that strip's gonna be enough. And just something to think about before going forward with the.
I measured the width of Ocean Boulevard from the center straight to sidewalk, approximately 12 feet. Then we placed golf carts in those diagonal spots, and it was like 14 feet. So there is significant room on the roadway to do it.
Okay.
I don't know how, it is, when we were there, it was several people walked down the street. Most people in town walk down the street because there's no sidewalk, so they're used to that. It isn't like, I don't think there's gonna be a lot of vehicle traffic there. Once you park, nobody's going anywhere. It's the only place to go is the beach houses, 2 beach houses down there and in the bar. So I understand your point. It's just that you could pave the south side and then put striping in there so people know that's where they're supposed to
We did notice also that, the fence on the north side of the Surfside Hotel there, it's actually, they've got the curved board there, but they actually put the fence a foot or foot and a half south of that curving. It looks like you pick up like almost another 2 feet of it. The fence is actually up on that barricade where it is, so there's even more room than it really looks like there. And 2 feet doesn't seem like a lot, but if you actually pull the motorcycles and carts in even farther.
Well, that'd be a good for the pedestrian walkway there. Like I said, I think if we painted the diagonal markings for the golf carts, and then you had just a stripe going down indicating this is a pedestrian walkway right behind them, that even further discourages. I mean, you can just sit there on the deck at Neil and Pam's and see cars constantly going into Scotty's, not find a place to park, pull back out, go out the wrong way. Or come down the street and come out the wrong way on that one-way street constantly. So, I think both of those items, as long as it suits the fire department, I think would help a couple issues in that area.
Like Rod said, police chief and the fire chief both saw that and they saw no issue whatsoever.
I was actually down there, Cindy, when the police chief was down there, and we did talk about what you're saying. And they did look at that grassy area over there. And he said that he thought that there would be enough room, as long as there wasn't 4 or 5 people crossways to walk there, if there was a car coming in. They did look at that.
Okay, all right.
Our town's been able to quickly expedite things, like we did with the golf cart parking in front of Neil and Pam's and putting the sidewalk in and stuff. This, what you're asking really isn't a big deal. The question is, what is Lanier going to charge us to pick up those 10 spaces?
I have those ballpark figures, so I'll give it to you later. You want it right now?
A lot of what they're gonna do is depends on how much we approve. They talked about 300 spaces. And I don't want to steal his thunder, but they gave us some numbers to do the 300 spaces. They also talked about some other areas that would cost more.
Okay, well, then why don't we move forward and see how many spaces are in your plan, and then we'll talk about cost at the end. Is that okay?
Yeah, if you agree to everything, And it's gonna be, like you said, it'll be approximately 300 spaces.
Okay. Does anybody have any more questions?
How many spaces is this particular option?
21 or
20 to 28, depending on how big you can make it.
You're saying about 21, 25, say 25 spaces.
Say 24.
yeah.
That's about half the spaces in the real park.
I really don't have a problem with this per se, except for we're taking over existing roadway. And what's in the precedent on that, I think that we need to, I'm sure if John was here, there's probably a required amount of space that you have to have for the roadway. I don't know what it is, but I think that needs to be looked into before we agree to it, but other than that, I don't see a problem.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, John actually looked at that, that's when you see that, it looks like that was John. Yeah, he did that. Thank you.
And with that, we would recommend that you line out the whole space, which means it would be a box, not just two lines. This way they know how far they're supposed to move, they should be outside that box. And we did measure, it was, a normal street is like 12 feet, and this was like 13.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Mr. Tillman, if y'all look at the part that we were talking about a minute ago about the hotel's fence being on the outside of the curb, instead of on the inside the curb, is it on the property line or is it on the property line?
I have no idea if that fence is their property line or, I would assume that the fence is on their property line, so you can't move the fence.
Right.
There's two fences.
Go ahead.
That's still the.
Yeah.
I'll explain that, didn't get it mixed up. He actually came to me when we originally did that, we did the parallel parking. And he said that the hotel actually owns that, but they would be willing and able to allow us to go all the way up where that grass is. So I'm sure we can sit down and talk about it, but it is owned by the
I
hotel.
was just curious.
So he brought it to us, he said, what we can do to help with.
Well, we'll need that property line and really look at what legally we need to do because there's liability issues. I mean, it's great he wants to do that, but there's other legal liability issues that we're going to need to confirm before we implement it officially. I mean, especially if we're gonna talk about taking it up, paving it, and, all of that, and moving the fence and so forth. I mean, we have to look, where is that property line, what we own versus what they own, and, negotiate with the hotel owners, maybe buy that extra 2 feet or whatever.
Do have a question. The parallel, not parallel, the linear part going up, does it go all the way up past Salty's, past the street to Salty's or does it stop? Or does it stop at the street? And the reason I asked you, and I think at the beach on Sunday, the guy called me to stop and had to do this U-turn to get out, follow the road out. That's the only, I can see with these lots, that's the only thing that I saw that could do anything right now.
Well, it was gonna be always to the beach and leave a space for the opening for.
Yeah, because that, you have the opening space there. You're saying somebody pulled into Scotty's,
Well,
then they needed to back out, go the wrong way.
No,
Well, they have deliveries
Yeah.
on that side of the building, so a lot of the delivery trucks will pull in, and some of them that are vans and so forth, they'll pull in and under the building, and then they go to back out,
Yeah.
to come out and go, down. the
Well, there's
side.
only two spots about past the,
yeah.
right
And I
there.
thought they could.
You could almost leave those out, you still gain all that.
Back out.
You may want
Trying
to
to
stop where
turn
that
to the
walkway.
parking lot.
Right.
Yeah, that's, and I'm not saying it's good, I'm just saying something. That's the only thing I can think.
But John Adair's the one that was, I won't say engineer, but he's the one that was designed to draw.
Oh, yeah.
To do all that.
Yeah.
So why don't we ask him to do the next step on this, to see what it prepared check with, Mr. Baxter from the resort, find out where, you know, if we want to do the fence, pay it, or what we want to do, and we'll pass.
Cost.
I get with him tomorrow.
So you're gonna get back with us, so we're gonna have another meeting later too. Okay,
Well, if I get him.
all right.
We are understanding now, that ranch area
Yes,
is the hotels.
based on what he said to me.
Okay, so what we're doing right now is we're parking on that property now, so
Yes,
bring them, have it in writing that we're out to the back.
you know, but he did say,
No, I understand, it's just that you're getting,
we'll make it, we'll get
Even
it.
better have you park out there than you park inside on this parking.
I think they own the bar anyway, right?
Based on how wide that street is, I doubt that he's coming all the way.
We'll double check, we'll make
You know,
sure.
you gotta see what property. line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And bottom line, he's very supportive.
50 feet right away.
John should have showed that real quick.
Yeah.
Property line.
All right, next one, Seaside Drive, opposing Vega Park. West side Seaside Drive between the pier and Third Avenue North, along with the east side corner of Third Avenue North and Seaside, is one of the best parking areas in Surfside Beach. It's not only the closest parking to the beach, but also its proximity to stores, the pier, restaurants, showers, bath facilities is next to none. All this in free parking. For approximately 20 spaces along the strip, and if each spot was taken for $10 a day, that would be $200 a day loss of income, which would be $18,000 in only the 90-day summer season. Most of the houses along this strip are rental property. The driveways are on Ocean Boulevard, and every house was built with at least one parking spot on the property for each bedroom. The right-of-way on Seaside Drive is town property and is only utilized during the daytime hours by people going to the beach. No one parks there overnight except a few full-time residents. Our proposals make the west side of Seaside Drive between the pier and Third Avenue North and the southeast corner of Third Avenue North and Seaside Drive a paid park area. Parkers can either use Park Mole, that's the park, the pay station located at the pier and Third Avenue, or they can use the Surfside Beach Committee. Full-time residents in the area already afforded permits for free parking. Revenue from just this area could be close to Third Avenue North parking. Now, we brought this up before, and it was shot down because they said, oh, the people on Ocean Boulevard, whose backyards are on Seaside Drive, they use those parking spaces for their, they don't. And how do I know this? I used to work at the airport. I used to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go to work at 3:30. I'd go down that block. There would be one or two cars, and I know the one or two cars, I know they're permanent residents. They were parked. There was no one else parked there. I did it for like 6 weeks straight, just to see. Not just one or 2 weeks. I did it for 6 weeks, 2 months worth of looking at this. Nothing happens in this town after maybe 1 o'clock. Even renters, they go out to the Merle's Inlet, everyone's home by 1 o'clock. So the issue isn't my renters using. You go there right now, there's hardly anybody on those rental houses. The block is packed. It's the best kept secret in this town. That this is where you park. Now, a lot of the people who worked at the pier, they used to park there. That's why when we had a permit program for them, how would you buy a permit when you knew where to park? That's why we're looking to do this.
This is back to the same question that got on the other one. Are we sure that we own this right of way, this property?
It's a right of way.
It is a right of way. It don't belong to somebody else.
It's a right of way.
Well, my only concern with this is I have already gotten 2 or 3 people that live on this portion of Seaside complaining about the parking on Seaside and the hazard it presents to some of the kids that play in the street and so forth, that, you know, they were even looking at wanting no parking signs. So, I mean, this is something we have to weigh the pros and cons and maybe give whatever few residents we actually have on that street an opportunity to provide their input on it as well, just because it mostly affects their properties and their egress and ingress from their own properties. And I'm not talking about the ones that live on Ocean Boulevard, I'm talking about the ones that live on Seaside.
On the ocean side.
Mhm, mhm.
And
I think just as a matter of courtesy, just get their point of view on it.
has John looked at that proposal too?
No, sir. That I know.
Honestly, I can't even think of, I don't know, maybe they're wrong, but can't think of anybody who lives there to be around on the ocean side. There might be one or two. I know that Howard Bernard is, on the other side of the street, another house next near his, that's full time. Most people don't live there full time. And that's part of the beach life. I mean,
Yeah.
not what they bought into, but we all have kids who play out in the street. And technically, it's against your work, so you're not allowed to play out in the street.
So how would we
I
sign
think
that?
we took that out.
Oh, you did, I hope
I
so.
think we took.
I was one of them that was hoping. Let me just say,
Yeah, I think that left chapter 8 with.
good.
How would we sign that? If I'm a property owner down on that street, would you be putting a sign in the right of way right in front of or right behind my house?
That would, this, you would put a sign saying, 8 o'clock, that's all. You know, text the park. Not signs everywhere, sign. You know, one on the one corner, one on the next corner.
So just the arrows stating.
Yeah, right. And then 30 feet, from the intersection. And you gotta be 10 feet from a driveway. There aren't many driveways, there's only a few driveways. And then those driveways, they actually have bushes in the right of ways.
Excuse me. Bill, you're gonna run this by John too?
Yes, sir.
And see just what he thinks.
You know, today and tomorrow. Yes, sir.
In the process of doing the paved park back there, you're gonna be looking at putting some trash cans, stuff like that along some of those areas, just keeping it clean and neat, and also keeping the grass weed whacked, cut, make sure John does all that. Because as you walk through there, and summertime, it does get kind of run down a little bit.
Now, but you did say that currently during the visitor season that place is full anyway, right?
What is being done? We're not getting any money.
Well, when they leave anyway, I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
there's, you know, cars are parking, stuff falls out of people's car, you know, cans. I think that if we're gonna make it a paid park area, it needs to be kept clean, very clean.
I think if town makes it a bigger park, it's gonna look a lot cleaner and a lot more supervised by, because they're gonna take care of it, you know.
But that's just,
At each beach actors, most of them have a garbage can right out of it, so every process. But I see what you're saying, yeah, absolutely, that's the way it should be done.
right. Thank you.
Does this area have to be paved too and marked off just like the other areas, or you just gonna have any park as long as, I mean, that whole area is gonna be just
I would just do it exactly the way
like it's
it is.
been done.
Exactly, just put a couple of signs letting people know that you have to pay the park. And then signs are on some of the fences saying you can't park there unless you're going to, you know, unless you are renting this location or that location. Those are totally legal signs. They can't write tickets on it, and they should really have a sign.
You know, if you're talking about, Seaside, right? What about Yopon between First and Surfside Drive?
Oh,
We had the thing before that you,
but you go to, I went right by your today, and I was there a couple of days ago. It is packed. There are no, there's like 2 people, and I know one of them was renting. That's all. So there's a woman who started this, get rid of your time. Because it's this is where our renters park. Their renters don't park there. The renters park in their spaces. I used to go by there all the time. I lost that battle a couple of years ago when it was reversed. But that's what we wanted people from, the employees from the pier to park. Special permit, they would take a, they would have a, make a class between 1 to 6 years. Workers, hospitality workers don't last long in businesses, so not to have to pay for a whole year and pay for 3 months. And it was supposed to be a restaurant, though. And then a homeowner there who has a rental house, and they think about it, they're, it's parking. They're parking now.
I was talking to others, and they asked them about, they don't have parking restrictions now. For their employees, they don't need parking. I was asking them how many employees they have. And they have 30 employees. Where are those 30 people in that park?
Well, yeah,
And that's not including Neil and Pam's, of course, they have their own parking lot. Gracious Big, every place that's open, Punta and everything else.
We're gonna look at-
Employees are gonna be a big issue, and right now, I think what they're doing is parking in the library. And that's not fair to the
That's not fair.
library either. All over.
Our next meeting, we actually, it's going to be put on the agenda, we're going to discuss it, we're going to discuss about the employee park.
Well, the library opens at 9 o'clock. Go by at 8 o'clock in the library, and it's packed at 8 o'clock. The library's still closed.
And there's beach stalls going there, because I saw 2 people walking from the beach, and they were walking up to the library. And that's where they went, they went to put their stuff in. And at the last meeting, the last workshop, we had 2 ladies from Ocean Pines telling me that people are actually parking in their parking lots and walking down to the beach from Ocean Pine. Ocean Pine goes from Hollywood to Pocket, up in 14, 15th Street. That's a long trek. So people, they shouldn't be parking on other people's property, man. That would be terrible if someone's parking in my driveway. Right now, someone's parking on my old beach house property. There's no one there, and they're parked in their driveway. Any other questions?
We're gonna check on that. And then he's gonna ask John to do it, just get his comments on it. We'll just do that.
All right. Now, here's the big. Ada Park, all beach access. Problem is, although there is parking at the beach access for golf carts, presently, there's clearly not enough for the residents. Second homeowners, tourists, and non-residents of Surfside Beach reside here. Beach access parking at most locations become full, which limits the amount of town residents and tourists renting in our town who can use our beach. Reason is the beach at Surfside has become heavily congested, and so is the beach access parking for all reasons. In the last 10 years, development in the area has increased dramatically. The sales pitch, and this is definitely a sales pitch. You're only a golf cart away from the beach. They don't tell people that they don't live in Surfside Beach. They sell the house saying, you live in Surfside Beach. And with that comes everything. And they don't, the poor people, some of them, they don't know they don't get a sticker. And they're shocked. But they're a golf cart away from the beach. The state has changed the distance of a golf cart can be driven from 2 miles to 4 miles from your home. That's about 707. Internet. You can figure a way, get from 707 down here. And there's a way, I'm not gonna tell you. Yeah. It's crazy. You know what I mean?
We had no problem.
Yeah. I think the houses that used to be rented by 2 families are now rented by 4 or 5. More families means more golf carts. I know this for a fact because I used to rent, I used to have 2 beach houses. Used to be 1 or 2 families. Economic times, 4 families. Used to bring 2 or 3 cars, 6, 7 cars. The amount of golf cart rental companies in the town of Surfside has increased. You look, it's used to be just beachwear stores, every other block. Now, golf cart rental stores, every other block. Not a bad thing, it's just that there's a lot. Another problem, and some of you might not think it is, Surfside Beach has only beach in Horry County that allows tents to be erected. Think of that. All Horry County,
So we have a problem with you, Jen.
absolutely. They've done 16 south of the ocean. It was like a sea of ants, you know, how they travel, they will all be coming down to our beach. I live up the north side now, same thing. It's people from Ocean Lake, campgrounds, up, down, and around, and it comes off. Beach and Surfside is the nicest, cleanest, and with the most amenities, such as showers, restroom, handicapped accessible, crossovers with beach seating, and town ambassadors patrol the area for safety. You don't get that anymore. President new development is being built, which borders the town on the south side. Development, the Swells, which like Poolville, have over 220 units, either 1, 2, or 3 bedrooms. This development shall bring at least 1,000 people to the beach, which is a ride less than a mile to a beach down Melville. So our proposal is to put in place a control of how many golf carts can park at beach access, following our proposal. Make all beach accesses, both paved and unpaved, paid to parking. Place signage at the entrance of beach accesses and also on beach overpasses stating pay to park. The following are the ways to implement this and receive payment. Town issue stickers, town property owners for free, downtown residents plus $200. I heard that they're already sold out this year. I don't know if that's ever been done before. You can do it by Park Mobile, text the park, and a pay station is available in the area.
Gary, just one question I had. Are you looking at applying this to all of the beach accesses or just, and, you know, I understand doing that eventually, but test, you know, do a test at, you know, our busiest 2 ends to see how it works? What kind of negative feedback we get or positive feedback, or you just want to jump in with both feet?
I'm a straight shooter and jump in 2 feet, let's get it done. If it doesn't work, you always change it.
Okay.
It isn't going to cost that much more to do every one of them. Because, and it's gonna be like a one-time fee. I know you want to try to talk how much it's gonna cost the 300 parking spaces. This is for, if you did Seaside, if you did First Avenue, if you did all the beach access. That would be approximately 300 spots. And it would cost between $18,000 and $36,000 to do it the first year. But you have to take out, I think he said like $8,000 a year or so. Because the first year you have to put up signage,
Yeah, so the 18 to 36 is the signs and
everything.
the paving part that we're talking about, that's extra. I assume this is just linear scope?
This is Lanier's gonna put up the signs, to put up poles, and then they were gonna police it.
Lanier's portion would be,
18
if
to
we had,
36.
if we had 4 hour, additional 4 hours on the street. we cross it over that first year's what he recommended. That'd be 18,000. 4,000 to 6,000 would be for signage. But since most of those beach accesses have 4x4s in them already, with the changing of the actual sign itself or whatever, you probably wouldn't have to put posts in them, which would save you a lot of money there as well. So it'd either be for an 8-hour guy or 8 hours worth of additional service would be 36,000 plus the 4 to 6 on the high, if you said. Or with the 4 hour would be 18. So you're still looking at 24 to 42,000.
And they,
That's what Lanier, and that's on the high side.
right, and they predict that you wouldn't double, it's almost like doubling your pay department. But you're not gonna get, I don't know why, but he said you wouldn't get like double in revenue, but you get at least 25% more. That's the low ball.
is that evaluation done on our net revenue or the gross revenue collected from all parking? Because we would be interested in the evaluation and return on the investment based on our net revenue less the linear costs. So, you know, they kind of, it's almost kind of talking apples to oranges, so
Yeah,
we gotta drill down a little bit to get what our interest is.
Right.
What linear
I mean,
is.
then you're taking Lanier's work too, right? He was ROI plus 64,000 in year one. So is that a factual number? I mean, we didn't dive into it that deep to say, hey, this guy sounds like he's right on the money. He was, you know, throwing it into his calculator in his head. He's giving something that- as far
I
as-
think that
Yeah.
people know it's coming. Okay, this is the first year that we have ever sold out of a $200 budget. We've had that forever. We never sold out on it. They know it's coming. So, you know, we just have to be prepared for what's going on. My question is, if I give a certain beach access, okay, and let's say I take, 13th Avenue south, okay, the one that has the bathroom. That's a parking, but I'm talking about a beach, 7th Avenue south is just a full golf cart, right? How are we gonna designate how many spots are in each beach access? And make it so that a spot is a place that has to be done, so that people aren't just pulling in and blocking people in and parking. There has to, and is Lanier gonna do that, or is that something that we have to construct?
I asked that also. 7th Avenue South already has marked off its spots. They have the concrete pick, concrete. So you basically know where you are. Now they park in the bushes and they park. All the other,
We've had people damaging their property from backing up and stuff into people's fences and stuff, that we don't wanna have that go on too.
but people, the thing is, people are parked there already. It's not like we're inventing this new thing, you know, come and park on a beach access. They've been doing it since the beginning of time. It's just, the beach access is getting overwhelmed. Everybody coming, we have no place to put them. There's not even a vacant lot that anyone wants to sell to put more people in. They don't want to do it. We've already tried that. The sand lots, the non-paved ones, you know, you could put up ties or something, but that was, I forget who said that was a good idea. Might have been John or Darren. It's a tripping hazard. You might have more problems that you're trying to solve by delineating where it starts.
I mean, Lanier got it, the way it exists right now is doable.
Yeah.
You don't have to spend a bunch of money putting blockades in there and stuff. People, for the most part, now there is the occasional idiot that goes into those places and decides they're just gonna park in the middle. But if you go in there, it's actually pretty decent the way that they park it. And if it was pay to park or whatever, I think you come in and say, well, pay to park is full, I'm going to the next one. Just, I mean, the only way you really find out.
Coleman, how are y'all gonna do the enforcement? Or how's when you're gonna do the enforcement on the beach access with golf carts only? You got boots, tickets, towing.
It's gonna be just like any other lot they have right now. And I asked that specific question. How can you possibly enforce with a golf cart? He said, if we do it already, each golf cart is supposed to have a state sticker on it.
Right.
With that state sticker, it has a number.
Right.
So they put that on the ticket. And that's basically how they enforce it. They then take pictures of the golf cart. They have a pretty good system of how they do everything. But that's what I was worried about. Golf cart is not a license plate. They said they use the state issued sticker to identify who.
Well, on the rentals, would it go back to the rental companies the same way? Because a lot of people come rent them for the weekend. We see them, kids driving them, and swinging around the curves, they're parking where they want to park.
Yeah, he had a good idea. Lanier had another good idea as well. We have the $50 weekly pass. We're gonna put a link on our website when people rent. We're gonna recommend that they buy a $50 pass for the golf cart so they don't have to deal with parking. 'Cause I don't want to. So if we can get the majority, we don't have a big fleet, it's gonna be a challenge for some other guys. But for us, we'll recommend that they get the $50 pass, they can park anywhere that a person certified with a sticker can.
Was that $50 to the search on? Exactly what I mean.
Oh, it's our parking pass, right?
You'll buy the parking pass for the golf carts?
No, we'll have them buy it.
They'll buy it.
That'll be their, I mean, their parking.
But you gonna put a sticker on, take the sticker off, put a sticker on.
No, remember they scan the deal so they can have it in the clip of the steel wheel, you think somebody should steal it, but it's got a number on it.
So if they run the golf cart number, right, it's gonna come back to this pay.
Oh,
You have a state sticker.
we have state stickers.
One of the things Lanier said, if they pull into a crossover and there's 10 carts there and they have 10, so they can look at the two systems and have 10 places paid, they probably would not even walk down in there. But if they had 14 carts and paid, then they figure out the 4 that had paid.
Right, in fact, beach access is gonna be zoned, so they know where they're supposed to be. So even if, like, say you park on 16 South, and then someone had to go to the bathroom, you come back to 16 South, it's not a spot rest. We already paid. You would go to 15 South, and a good enforcement officer will look and see, oh, he's supposed to be at 16, but he's at 15, then it's okay.
Because I thought it says that each access has its own little number.
It does. It does have its own zone.
He says if they call him on the carpet on it,
Right.
he'll usually tell them, all right, you buy your deal, you're wrong. It's on a different parking lot or whatever, but it's like that. There's gonna be certain instances like that. I mean, cool guy, the big thing he said was most people pay for the whole thing. And like any of us, you go to the beach, it gets hot, in 3 hours you're gone, you get through that spot. I mean, you're usually getting full, full payment per spot 3 times a day, at least twice.
And these are the same prices as are put on the parking lot, $2 an hour or?
I mean, that would be our recommendation, but I mean, that would be ultimately up to y'all to test,
But
where do you want to go first?
the financial evaluation to come up with the ROI is based on $2 an hour.
That's what you did.
Okay, all right.
Well, next question, we have that budget, we don't want to do that right now. What? To pay the $3,600, $36,000.
Well, the $36,000, you're not gonna pay that one.
And I think another thing that you really have to look at is the more paid parking spaces there are, the more availability that means for the townspeople to park. And we have to think of the townspeople being able to park at the beach. And if everything is paid, there'll be more spots for town people to pay because they'll have their sticker that they can park it.
Also, further answer your question about, would you just do it on the outer edge? And I said, jump into it, and the reason why is because I just went down the beach. The whole edges weren't packed. The center was packed. So, and I know in the summertime, 8 South, for whatever reason, is always packed with golf carts. I don't know why. 7 South always packed.
They're gonna come from across the highway. They're gonna-
Well, that
They're
is.
that. That's who you got in this time of year.
Yeah.
We don't mind them coming, but they just need to pay the fine.
Y'all management fee for,
No mind.
also what, $6.95
Just chipping.
Yeah, there's a fixed fee.
management fee of $6.95 a month. They said that, I mean, if y'all required, you probably wouldn't allow them to double that. Parking spots, they want, you guys have a 1-year contract, and you haven't extended it, so they're gonna do what they can to make this work and
So
make it look
basically,
feasible to where you guys want to use them again for a longer contract. You guys can negotiate that.
so based on everything you see, if we decide that this is the way we're gonna go, how long is it gonna take us to get prepared, and when do you think it should be implemented?
As soon as you get those signs up, I'll implement it. Because it's easy to implement something when the masses don't come. Just to find out what the kinks are and correct things.
But I think we ought to give somebody some warning that it's coming, so Even is May 1st, Memorial Day. You know, we need to come up with a date and time to do it.
But Harry, there's other pieces too, like when you're sick, they gotta hire somebody. It hasn't been really easy to find guys to come and take those positions either, so that's been a challenge. They gotta keep the enforcement on the road, you know, they're making a commitment that they're gonna have some, gotta get that person hired. They're gonna need a little bit of time to get it in. First things first would be obviously the signage, whether it's,
But she said it wasn't sure how long that would take. Just with everything. You know,
But if they got somebody to get Surfside, it would be even better. Because so many retired people that would love a part-time job.
he won't do that. If he gets somebody from Surfside, he can send them to work in
I tried to,
Myrtle, he doesn't want
They don't want to come, I got you.
Yeah.
That's true.
to, not the buddy system.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
where you
I was trying to recruit the Tom.
Yeah.
Revenue would go up about $100,000.
Okay, just to be clear, it's just these three options that we're talking about as far as the recommendations for moving forward today. I mean, we've got a few more here.
Yeah.
But this, it's just these three that we now have prices or cost estimates from Lanier. We don't have that on the rest of them.
It would, the 300 include all these that you're gonna.
Oh, it includes everything that's coming up.
Yeah.
You're gonna see there's a few parking spots here, a few parking spots here, as you get it.
This is that's the main package. There's a few here, a few there. There's other recommendations I've also do with it.
Okay.
Larry did say that their management fee, the $6.95 or whatever we pay a month, is not gonna change.
Right. Even though they're extra 300.
They're gonna have to hire somebody to actually do the cover, canvassing. But as far as their management fee, that doesn't change. Whether it's, we have current 300 parking spaces, we double it to 600, it's still the same management.
Yep.
They just take the same percentage.
Right.
And it wouldn't cost them more to text the pocket. I don't know if you understand what text the pocket is. Basically, you get to the thing, you put the number in, and you tell them where you are, and you get your license and all that. And so you put down, you want to stay for 3 hours. 2 hours and 45 minutes into it, you're laying on the beach, you'll get a text saying, listen, you only got 15 more minutes. You want to up it another hour or two? That's a great system. It's not, you know, your little ticket's not going to blow off your windshield. It's the way of the future.
Yeah.
And it doesn't cost any money for pay stations when you break down.
Right.
So this is the way you.
What happens when grandma and grandpa come and they're not tech savvy, they didn't bring their smartphone? They better go find a kiosk,
I got a booger.
parking lots, basically, I guess.
Yes.
Hopefully they got
I will also suggest that if you
Highly likely, right?
you let the rental companies know
Yes.
and have them put something in, you know, something that, hey, you gotta pay the cost. Because we don't want to catch anybody.
Because it's a text, it's all it is, a text. I think
It's a
anybody
very
does
simple
have to
process.
text.
It's simpler than going
Yes.
to the machine, sticking your card in and trying to figure out what it's.
If you ask how they gonna implement this line on our town parking still, and we pull into these access or the beach crossovers, and if they have, say, 10 places in there, and we got 9 town people that's parked there, how are they gonna know?
It'll show on that access point, he's gonna show that one person paid. He's gonna look in there and he's gonna say, 10 cars. You gotta get his butt out of his car. He's gotta go
So
walk in
he
there
is gonna
and
make,
look for 9 stickers.
okay, so he's gonna make the trip down that instead of just sitting out there saying,
That's
10 cars sitting there, we got 10 pairs, he ain't gonna go look to see at that point.
absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
I heard a person from across the street getting a new term this weekend, last weekend. And that is, across the street, they're calling that Surfside Beach unincorporated. And that's the way it's being sold, Surfside Beach unincorporated. And I hadn't heard that term.
They can call it whatever they want.
That's what it is.
It's not.
It's unincorporated for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surfside family.
Right. Okay, next one, ready? This is a Park 2, Surfside Drive between Hollywood Drive and Pinewood Drive. Currently, there's a parking area in Surfside that the town paid $300,000 to develop the curb cuts and stripes that no one uses except for when we have the farmer's market and the craft section. The reason the area between Hollywood and Pinewood on Surfside is currently signed for 1 hour parking between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. I believe you can park there for free for an hour. The town did this to discourage people parking for free here and going to the beach. Permits exempt. I believe you can park for any length of time if you have a C3 permit. Unsure who issued this permit or if they only issued to Surfside C3 employees. Polls will make this area a pay to park location from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Parkers can use town stick to park mobile, blah, blah, blah. This way, some people might use this area to park when they go to the beach. Now, this is a project that the parking committee was in effect. They never asked us. We just did this on our own. And this, so when they made these parking spots, everybody was parking it and nobody was using the parking lot and the loss of revenue. People weren't too happy about it. So they decided to make the restaurant workers park there. But
Did we not do away with the C3 employee parking permits,
I don't
because
know.
nobody ever
Yeah.
bought them?
yeah, well,
I thought we,
yeah.
yeah, I thought we
The
did.
signage
that
is
one.
And the reason why no one
Okay.
ever bought them was you cannot park for free at Seaside or Yellow Park. There's no reason to buy it, permit and walk an extra 2 or 3 blocks.
Has anybody ever checked and seen if there are any C3 stickers out there that are still valid?
No, it wouldn't be, I don't think.
It wouldn't be, they were only valid for the period of time as the regular ones were, but all, the whole stretch of Surfside Drive still says C3 permit.
Yeah, that's.
I just looked before we walked in here.
Mr. Cohen,
So no one actually uses that.
have y'all had any kind of meetings with the restaurant management, of all the restaurants down in the E District to find out what they're doing with their employees, exactly what they're doing, where their employees are parking? And have they thought about an off-site location and shuttle their employees? You said 30 employees at once. I'm gonna say
One time.
I know, but it's 10 employees.
I know that there are a lot.
Well, that's 50 employees. If you do 10 employees at each point, that they need to maybe look at an off-site across the street and shuttle their employees back. Because,
That's a good idea, but
I mean, in Charleston, they do it, all the metropolitan areas, Columbia, Charlotte, different places in the restaurant downtown area. It's just not a free parking. But I think there needs to be a meeting with them to find out what.
well, we have nothing to bother with that. Because they can park on your pond and they can park on Seaside Drive.
Right.
If they can't do that,
Well,
then they're gonna want us, hey, what can we do? Where can we, you know? So
I just don't think they need to be giving them stickers to park.
we don't give them stickers.
I know, but I don't think we need to be in this town, because if we do, then you can put 50 cars in the parking lot and.
Well, they weren't allowed, that C3 permit.
Yeah.
It was a blue with a yellow, used to be the old fisherman from the pier. And they weren't even allowed to park here, they could only park in your park. When we made it that they could only park on Surfside Drive. But you'd have to walk three blocks past the free parking to get there.
Yeah.
And the restaurant owners were supposed to buy it quarterly.
They never did.
No.
That's what I'm saying, we need to
Yeah.
put something in place, not as you being mean to them, it's just, you just can't have all those cars.
I mean,
just sitting for no reason,
Right.
other than to put employees down there working.
And now there's so many more restaurants there than there was.
And the town allowed all those restaurants, what was y'all
They
saying?
would.
Yeah.
When you were thinking of where were the employees gonna park? I mean, why is that? I don't understand. I don't understand why that's.
Well, they're still gonna have a place that parks, it's parking.
They do, so we should come up with.
Not, it's their employees, they know most businesses take care of that, so. And I know Charleston, they do it, you go down to Charleston, Main Street on Charleston.
So the individual businesses.
Yeah, you purchase a parking lot somewhere,
Right.
you purchase a piece of land somewhere, and maybe 3 or 4 restaurants go together, and they run a shuttle with their employees back.
Right.
Back and forth. And it's 2, security, you know, your employee made it back to his car safe, he didn't have to walk 3 blocks, 4
Right.
blocks by himself.
And if you got fired, it's a long walk.
Yeah.
Walk of shame.
I mean, right now, there's only one that has.
Somebody brought up the gravel parking we just put in a couple of years ago. Then basically nobody's using that. Why can it not be a designated employee park until it runs out?
You're talking about over on,
First time drive.
That's quite pretty cool.
Yeah.
That gets full.
It gets very cool.
They started getting party in
how would that be?
You see how parking has evolved in this community in the last few years. 16th Avenue North, 17th Avenue North, we made that a reduced pricing if someone was parking there. Same thing with 13th Avenue South, no one was parking there. And then this lot you just spoke of, there are actually people in there now. And there's another one, you can't use stickers in on 6th Avenue North, and people are in there too.
Or the.
And so I don't know if that lot is going to be available for the employees because there's so many people. No, it's a good idea if they, but it's already been, I mean, yesterday they have to use that for.
I think Fourth Avenue is notified the town, 50/50 agreement with them.
Not going to work anymore.
Well, I think they're going to sell the property.
I would too.
Yeah.
Fourth Avenue lot is owned by someone else, and they just made a deal with the town
Right.
to allow the park.
And we
They
pay.
get 60/40 or something.
So on this one, no one's using the parking. So you can either make it free
I
or,
would do that.
well, that's one option, but we're recommending that you make it free. And then the parking, then we'll try to figure out how we stop people from utilizing the library parking. That's not fair either.
Well, that's something I think that the library needs to put up some signs for their, somebody needs to speak to them on it and let them know, they gotta know what's happening. But they have to enforce their own parking lot.
And move on, additional parking spots at Yellow Pond Drive, golf cart parking. Addition and assure the parking spot. The previous council allowed the new business in areas to eliminate all their parking spaces, even though there are restaurants that would attract the additional parking. Currently, the golf cart parking lot at Yellow Pond, the spaces are perpendicular. If the spaces were made diagonal and the concrete parking lots moved to the edge of the pavers, there would be enough room to add at least 8 parking spots on the south side, which is the other side of where the golf carts park right now. That they park parallel. Also, motorcyclists are allowed to park in these spots with 3 up spaces for cars. Chief Hopkins surveyed the parking lot with the committee and found no issues with implementation of the proposal. So you get 8 additionals in that spot. Now, right now, nobody really uses it.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm astounded that nobody uses it. But in the future, it's like, you do, okay. Well, you know, another thing that happened with Neil and Pam's a couple of years ago is you buy a drink and you can park and pay for free. That was all right for a couple of weeks, but now people still do the thing, they're parking there legally also. So they created a monster, and now no one parks in it, but eventually people are gonna have to. It's parking's at a super premium.
That lot also would have to be surveyed for the parallel parking. We took our best and getting best to see where that property is for the parallel parking on the one side. But if you did do angle parking, you could do parallel, pick up extra spots there as well, so. But that would still be a survey, probably. That would make sure.
Oh, so you're talking do diagonal and then parallel parking on the opposite side because it is very wide.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But you'll be able to get in and out.
Yeah.
And it, you know, it doesn't have to be done tomorrow, but
It would look nice. And then
parking
all
lot-
the parking and
parking
trash
lot.
cans and everything, it would look nice.
And there's definitely a lot.
Until somebody with a 6-seater comes in.
Even for a 6-seater, yeah. Even for a 6-seater. Yeah, 6-seater.
right?
We're not talking about 60.
No other questions? Go to the next one. Additional parking spots at 13th Avenue, South Ocean parking lot. Currently, there is no parking spots at the parking lot located at 13th Avenue, South Ocean parking lot. parking lots gets filled very fast, because the beach area at 13th Avenue South is the main surfing location in Surfside Beach. There's also parking because of the availability of the restrooms there. So we're proposing to make 2 additional golf cart parking spaces between the west side of the restrooms and the sidewalk. There's more than adequate space there to do this, and there are no site visibility issues. The Department surveyed the area and found no reasons why this couldn't be done. Additionally, across the street in the right of way on the north and south sides of 13th Avenue South, the ocean and the street parking lot is currently signed as no parking area. Remove the no parking signs in this area and replace with pay to park signs, which will add an additional 6 parking. Now on that corner of the last thing I was talking about, that already has a sidewalk there, so it isn't someone driving. On the other side of the sidewalk, people know, they don't keep up that. Why I think they put no parking signs up there is because they wanted people to park in the paid parking. Now the paid parking lot's getting full, so why not just let them park there? It's not a safety issue as if you were parking on Ocean Boulevard. Ocean Boulevard is probably for animal, a lot of moving traffic. So I would recommend people parking on Ocean, but on 13th Avenue South, doesn't look like the problem. Only problem might be on the south side, to find out exactly where that property is.
So this is an oceanside parking lot. This isn't what used to be the value parking.
No, it's the Oceanside parking lot. Now, if you,
Just
as
trying
soon as
to.
you enter it, on your right, it's gonna be that, the bathroom.
Just west of the bathroom.
Those people go on the bathroom, between the sidewalk and the bathrooms, there's 2, it's a large spot. We put 2 golf carts, 2 golf carts, and more than enough room to do that. There's more than enough room for garbage pails, and there was no site visibility. So you're pulling out, you're looking through a golf cart. Golf carts have little tiny poles. There's no reason why you can't see right back.
Is that 13th Avenue value lot, is that full?
Not full, but it's filling up.
It is filling up.
Yeah. I know we just had someone at the last meeting, the next council person, who was complaining about that there wasn't allowed Ocean Boulevard parking, but that's what he parked the golf cart. Well, he can park across the street now. If he did.
I would just think if it's an issue for surfers, if they have equipment and stuff like that, so they want to bring surfboard and stuff like that. You know, most of the parking I see that's down there at 13th South now, there's a lot of handicap down there, which means that if you were just a regular surfer, it's hard to get a park.
I've seen them call motorcycle, bicycle, skateboard, you know, with the surfboard on, carrying a surfboard. But it's a very small parking lot for a very crowded use area. Right? This one, I mean, it's the wrong park. There's no such thing as wrong park, but it's a park of the line.
I figured out.
It was a time, well, it was a brain fart. I mean, I live right on the corner. Why I thought it was 4 o'clock. Beachgoers utilizing parking the ball field, which limits the amount of parking for the ball players. That's the problem. The reason out of town beachgoers, out of town meaning on the inside, park in the ball field to avoid paying the park. Currently out of town beachgoers use the ball park to park for free, which limits the number of spaces that those who want to use the ball field. We recommend the following: place signage stating parking for ball field only around the perimeter of the field, and also across the street on the east side of Dogwood. There's currently a no parking sign, but we recommend that you move it about 100 feet south, so that it enlarges the area. People shouldn't be parking there either. I went by the ball field, there's no one parked there today, except for people using the park, and that's what it's supposed to be for. You want to bring your kids down to play ball, you can't do that. So that's, and I didn't put it in, but when I rode by, I did see 4 cars parked at 3rd Avenue South and Dogwood. That where the little dock area is, where you go fishing. There's no parking there. You want to bring your grandchildren down, you live, 5 or 6 blocks away, you want to drive down, throw the line in, you can't do that. That's what I'm going to do.
Well, that ballpark is very used. I mean, most time I see it, I drive out of there, nobody's home, usually. Like you said, some people go there to practice sometimes or to train on, but it's not used.
Yeah, but usually, I mean, isn't a ball field usually used for ballpark or parking? It's usually free. It's not meant to be a paid park. It's not meant to be used for beach goers. We think it can self-regulate. I mean, we don't need to have it enforced or anything. I think if you put signs up, like we were talking, we were all standing up there and saying, most people got a little bit of good in them. And please don't, if you're not here for the ballpark, don't park here.
I think they need to do the same thing at the, they need to do the same thing if you're talking about the garden area, at the farmer's market area around on the, what's that? Oak?
That's on Willow.
Willow, yeah, I mean,
That's on the docket.
man, that is a madhouse at the beach on Saturday. Starting early in the morning, they are lined up parking along it for free.
We're, that's next meeting's.
And so is Grand Palm Resort buses.
That's what we're talking
Yeah, they park at the bus. I don't mind them as much as I do the,
Well, they just sit there.
Yeah. eat a lunch. They're using it for a park.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't lived on 7th Avenue South in 10 years, but that park used to be, so I don't know. I think we got out of the baseball running, so we don't have a league anymore. We used to have a football league also, they got out of that.
I was reading the Huckabee agreement that we have with the youth sports, and it says that Martin Field is theirs to use, and that if we want to use Martin Field, the town wants to use Martin Field, we have to reserve it with them. So it's not really ours to use when we want. It's the youth baseball.
They used to, the town used to also rent it out. You have big softball tournaments, baseball tournaments, and my teams used to come here to practice. So I know, so maybe people aren't also using it because people park at the beach and they can't park there. They just go. It's either designated as a parking area or take the fences down and they have a parking lot.
Yeah.
There you go. But people can't use it because they can't park. What's the sense of having it?
Well, the park, they go to the park, it's there for the purpose of the park. I don't care, but if they're just parking there to get a free spot to go down to the beach,
That's what I'm saying.
that needs to stop.
That's what we're talking
That's 100%. And I think that the police could come by there and ticket them because they look around, where you at?
Right.
You're not here.
There's no one on the ball field.
Yeah.
10 cars there.
That they ever want them to get a ticket or told. They're not there. They're not there.
You could work for me in the police.
That's why I'm asking what you, that's why I'm asking about the beach access, because, you go down to Garden City, I go down and get a bit with the pier down there, and I'm telling you, they are really cracking the whip on golf carts and their beach accesses. It ain't, if they crooked, they, a rollback down there just this past weekend, they had 4 on the back of a rollback.
Yeah.
He told them all, every one of them at one time, right out of it.
And that's another reason why people are coming here. Garden City used to be free and free for, do whatever you want to do.
Can't do it.
And Guacamole Drive now, just like the whole length of it, the length of it, there's no parking. You can't park there anymore. So people always, oh, I'm going to Garden City, I don't have to pay. I can see it in the future. They already have a pay. They're going to have more people pay. Because you don't want to charge $1 million, but you need money to help keep things up.
But I got stuff like the kids arcade, the pier, yeah, that kind of stuff. Little ice cream.
Is there anything else? Fifth Avenue South and Ocean Parking Lot, this is a small thing. Golf spot, spaces are too large and signage is very confusing. The reason is further, 4 golf cart parking spaces at the location, spaces are wide enough to fit a car and waste valuable parking opportunities. The increase parking in that lot, the following recommended, restrict the golf cart parking spaces to increase parking for golf carts by at least 2 more spaces, place signage at those spaces that clearly state your golf cart parking. Possibly mark the spots with paint. So you go there, I know where the golf cart parking is, but you look at the sign, you couldn't figure out which is the golf cart spot.
It looks like they made the parking spots for the golf carts. So the cars, the car spots go in, perpendicular there. And if you went all the way up against the beach, there's really no way to get out of the parking lot. So they made the first 2 spots on both sides closest to the beach, golf carts, so they're smaller. And then when the cars back up, they can back up and pull out. All we're saying is they made those spots so wide, that they could be 3 spots on each side. That's all. Pretty easy fix.
That's an easy fix.
Yeah, they did that when they repaved it, it used to be that way.
They need to stencil it on the actual parking.
Right, yep.
Not on the sign, but just stencil it on the parking.
Yeah, the sign is kind of confusing. It's, I mean, even for us, they were pretty
Next one is Surfside Drive Business District signage. Although there is parking in the business district on Surfside Drive between Popular and Floral, there's clearly not enough for the businesses there. There are 26 parking spots on Surfside Drive with 4 designated handicap. Now, you can't reverse it, but you didn't need 4. There's a formula, and whoever did it, they didn't do the formula. So we have probably 2 designated handicap too many. 21 spots on Popular with 1 designated handicap. 15 parking spots in Harrison Park parking lot with 1 designated handicap. The total is 62 spaces. There are currently 4 restaurants, 2 bars, 1 insurance company, 1 real estate office, 1 furniture, 1 flooring, 1 day spa, 1 empty retail store, which is going to be whatever the equipment is. That's a big store. There are 117 parking spots in proximity to the business district that aren't fully utilized. All these spots are within 1 block, walking distance of the business district. So there's an additional 117 parking spots that no one uses. All this, there's 16 spots in unpaid parking lot adjacent to the firehouse. And that's right by the firehouse. The people park there. It's unpaid and there's no walking, so they park haphazard. So you get 8 people parking there, you could possibly have 12 people parking the lines. There's 68 parking spots next town hall parking lot and 33 parking spots on Third Avenue. So our proposal is you place signage directing people to where there is additional parking. This way, this someone goes down Surfside Drive, see everything's vacant, and they leave. They don't patronize the restaurants and bars and stuff. And northwest corner of Floral and Surfside, south corner of Floral and Surfside, and the southeast corner of Popular and Surfside. And then pave the gravel parking lot and put lines in.
Now, is that making that whole area a paid park, or are we just ignoring that part for now?
Well, we actually went back and forth with that. We first went with Data Park, but we're getting the winds of store owners, and why we did it honestly showed it for them. They've had a problem. Also, when the dry cleaning was there, they had a problem. People couldn't pick up and deliver, So we did put a parking, 10-minute parking. It was in a bucket. So I would take, so I see that spot and I would take the bucket and I move it to the next door. Seriously, they were doing it. And then so this is,
The cleaners is gone now and the 10-minute sign's still there.
and it should be, because I want to go pick up a pizza.
Yeah.
I want to go to a Chinese store. There's someplace I can just slip in and slip out.
Right.
I mean, people are doing it in the handicap spot.
But you know what the real problem is? You got businesses along there that they're gonna be there all day and they just pull right up to the front door and park.
Well, that's why
Well,
I
the
was saying about Shore before. She complained about this
Yeah.
because there's actually a business there, I'm not gonna say what business,
Oh, I know.
but they have their own parking.
Yeah.
And their employees park not in their park.
Right.
Park in front of,
Right.
Shore the Court.
They need the other parking for their customers.
Exactly.
Right.
And then so what was the solution years ago? We said, oh, let's make it a 2-hour walk. And we actually went to each business and they said, sure, except for the spot. So the spot said, oh, sometimes I have people who come for 3 hours. Well, then tell them to park in the park, Harris.
Harrison.
Yeah, park Harrison. We tried that, but you can't enforce it. Used to be the chore tire, and you come back 2 hours later. You can't
Okay,
do
but this is not in the 300 spaces that we have finances for.
that.
This is still,
No.
we're not doing that at this time.
Right, this is gonna be Cater Park, and this is gonna be.
Just
annual
sign.
park. And we just want signage to let people, this is what we actually did, the first thing we did at Old Park, we did the signage, and then we started talking about,
And these parking spots, did you include the ones that are on Poplar between 3rd and 4th? They're up against the back fence of King of Cards?
No.
Because those are town parking spots
Okay.
too.
we didn't, I think at least 20.
Yeah, you're saying to do that as data park?
No,
No, I'm just saying that,
additional
you know,
No, that's additional parking.
technically what it should be is those parking lots, they should make it for, owners, business owners. And then they would park over there, and it would be the parking spots available for people's customers. You know, it's, a lot of times, like, it's no big deal, Shore the Court is there during the day, but that's when everyone else is there. You know, at night, it's no problem, because they only sundown and Borgata, and they're the ones that are filling up all the parking spots.
Right. You have all that fire department, that's where we're trying to get to this law right here.
And I was talking to the town administrator before, we need a parking lot, because we need a street light in the Harrison parking lot. Because I mean, it is pitch black.
Yeah.
And people don't like parking there because they feel unsafe.
Right.
there's also a parking spots right along the outside, you see on that road there?
Yeah.
I mean, I used to park on the council meeting. If you mark those too, just mark them, people know you're gonna park there. Now, if the fire department doesn't want people there, I can see that, but if they don't have any problem, I don't think it's fine. Just mark them. People can say, oh, smart, they can park. And that's a lot of paint. Want to get paint? No, we gotta do this. Good. All right? That's it? All right, I think this is the last one, folks. Then we can do the council meeting, right?
Slam right into it.
Hold on.
One thing that came up was Lanier, he said the cost to make this way to park is cost prohibitive. So in fact, to be one person dedicated to just this area.
You would have to come up here so many times.
You'd have to be here almost all day anyway, and it just would not be cost effective to make it pay to park.
And everywhere else on 17, you don't pay to park, go to a restaurant or go to Back Jacks or go to Golden Egg or stuff like that. So the put parking here,
But they do have to run parking. Then you have a restaurant down on here, complaining that, why don't you give me free? I don't want to go into that. right?
Valuable
We
real
don't want to go
estate.
there yet.
Valuable real
All
estate.
right, sorry.
Valuable real estate.
You get what I just said? I just look at everything. All right. The safety zone and the Aegis. Problem is pedestrians walking along the street mid-block to go to restaurants, bars, and in the near future here. With addition of several restaurants, elimination of parking on venues, promotion of the E-District as a walking destination. The area has increased the number of pedestrians along with the increased vehicular traffic, looking for a place to park. These increases have made the area hazardous, pedestrians and inevitable accidents with pedestrians work on. Proposal, reduce the speed limit from 25 to 10 miles per hour. From 50 yards north of Surfside Drive, 50 yards south of First Avenue South. They stop sign on Ocean Boulevard, the intersection of First Avenue South and Ocean Boulevard in both directions. Further Lake Drive is aware of the safety zone. Place pavement markings in this area, delineate pedestrian safety zone. To attach drawing, place additional signage stating yield to pedestrian. Now, I was, after we did this, recommended, I still recommended do something. I was actually going to River City Cafe and had it. So I didn't do it at the time, so I actually looked at it. And what happens is people cross over at First Avenue South. There's a line rope from First Avenue South to the driveway. Okay? Of Surfside Resort. People come out of that restaurant, out of that hotel, and they go straight across. The problem's right there. People who come from the Alpine parking lot, I know you have those white letter on red signs stating, walk this way. And go around and come down Surfside Drive and walk across the crosswalk. And I've argued this since the day people have told me it's a walking destination. People don't walk. They drive, they're postal. So the closest way to get somewhere, they don't. They go through the alleyway, shoot right across, and they go to Pizza Hut. So you can't do, this is my personal opinion, and I spoke with the committee a little bit. You can't do all the safety zones. Put the stop signs up and put up a crosswalk in the middle of it. But you're not gonna get, even the people who work in the restaurant, they got across. Nobody uses First Avenue. I mean, the Surfside Drive. Also. Doesn't make any sense. Remember, New York, everyone took the chances to just blurt it out and dodge the fact. And people, that's what they're doing, and you don't want people to get hurt. So slow it down, maybe to 10 or 15 miles per hour, put the stop signs up, just so that they stop before they get into that area. And then possibly put another crosswalk in, right where either before or after the driveway to the hotel. And it's gonna eliminate a lot of the problems.
I think this is one of the best things that you've got. I personally think that this is a great idea, crosswalking the whole section and putting up the stop sign. That's my opinion of what y'all done here. I like it.
And I do this as a walking. I'm just saying, everybody,
Yeah.
I mean,
And it also opens up, we mentioned it a couple times, but gives you the opportunity to, let's say somebody decides to do a valet stand or something, to bring parking out somewhere else, you could almost, if it was a walking distance that slow, you could probably pull off, drop people, continue on, somebody could grab that car and go.
Yeah.
Maybe to the unused lot, up there. Pine would make that a valet where they're still paying for that parking, but there's a valet cost involved as well. If the restaurants need to do that, if it's gonna be that as big a draw as we think it is down there, here, and those restaurants, now you got an Mexican restaurant opening as well, then maybe there is gonna be some use for that. Get everything slowed down, make it a caution area for everybody. Some other things might be.
I think most people just be hit at 10 miles an hour and they would at 25 miles an hour.
Well, the only concern I would have is the whole area as if it were crosswalk, is it gives everybody a false sense of security to just walk across the street anywhere they want. Now, maybe adding another crosswalk in the center of the block is probably a good idea. Slowing traffic down is a good idea. But until we're really prepared to reroute traffic around that area, you don't want to give too many people that false sense of security that, yeah, this is a safe zone, just walk out in the middle of the street. But you're going to get somebody in a car that's not paying attention. It's not going to be a good thing. So I like the idea of adding another crosswalk, because like you, I see people, they just walk out of any number of those restaurants and straight across the street. Well, Pizza Hyena schleps their food back across, right across the street right there. So,
And Mary, did you also say that on your motorcycle, it was all stripe? It's, the striping is actually slippery for motorcycles, even though we're slowing them down to 10, maybe having 3 spots across It'd be better than striping the entire thing.
Yeah,
But some
I
things
don't
slow
like
them
the idea
down.
of striking the whole thing.
Yeah, but you slow down the whole thing and get enough.
I like
crossing.
that.
I don't consider elevating. No, I don't want to speak on it.
But that elevated crosswalk about 6 inches.
Well, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I know that's what they did here in Surfside.
Or you can make a pedestrian wall and just have, in the future, have people diverted around that area. I mean, in New York City, believe it or not, they have tons of avenues down like that. You just shut them down for pedestrians.
So does Vegas.
Yeah,
That's the only way you're gonna keep people from walking across the road in any place down there. And every time I've been down there, I've never seen nobody go to the end of the drive either way. They walk out wherever they, just like you said, wherever they came out at. And I do too. If I'm parked across the road, if I come out of Needham Town, I'm going to come straight across there, quick, so I get over there. I'm not gonna go to a crosswalk, even if we put in a crosswalk, I probably still ain't gonna go to that crosswalk unless you got me fenced in before I have to go there.
well,
Yeah, and it probably might happen someday too.
they did that in Manhattan also. They have fences on the curb line, so you
Yeah, I
can't.
mean, to me, that'd be the only way that you're gonna direct people into a zone to cross. If you've got them slowed down in there, and that's a crosswalk, most people don't pay attention. If you look both ways, and it, like I said, at 10 miles an hour, I'd rather be hit at 10 miles an hour than at 25 with the car, or 20.
I like it.
Thank you very
Thank you very much for your, I think that we've heard some good information. I haven't heard, everybody's had the opportunity to ask questions. Kermit, my thing is, I would like to make a motion that, we direct the town administrator to look into each one of these that was done and to get us to work with John here to find out the probability. We need a expectation on when the town would be able to implement this. Of course, you need to get in touch with Lanier and find out from Lanier, the cost and everything, and what it takes to get the signs together and what it takes to do whatever. And then at the same time, you need to get in touch with the finance director to make sure that the money's there to do what we need to do. Whatever modifications to the contract or whatever it is. And then after you get all that done, then come back at the next council meeting, not the one tonight, but the one in 2 weeks. And let us, and let us know, what the outcome is. At that time, we'll take a vote. Or we'll have further discussion. So that's my motion.
The most
Well,
cost,
I don't know that we need a motion so much, but I think we need the balance of the information to evaluate, because, we brought up some issues, some concerns on certain of them. There's more than just linear costs associated with these things. Somebody's got to buy a paint, but so, and we need to make sure we have a full appreciation for what is the town's return on investment from our perspective, because the Lanier contract is, in my opinion, rather expensive for us. In that, the net effect of all the various ways they get paid, we only realize, less than 50% of, or about 50% of our revenue collected. So, that's a big hit when you're trying to look on return on investment with what are we investing in each one of these ideas and what's our expected return. Because I would foresee that some of these are certainly more attractive than others, and we could probably pull the trigger on quickly and get those moving. Where some of the others might need a little bit more evaluation and study before pulling the trigger on some of those. So I think we just need to take that next step of really formulating the consequences, the impacts, the costs, the pros, the cons, some of the other things that are required before council would be ready to make a decision on each alternative. But I mean, I like them all. I think they're all very good alternatives, other than the total soybean or BD district. I have my own personal opinion about that, but be that as it may. I think once we have that background and that detailed. We'll probably be ready to make a decision on each one of them, and I would recommend that we entertain them individually.
Sooner rather than later.
I have a motion on the table. Do I have a second on it?
Second.
So, and we'll discuss everything, Ms. Cheney said, we'll discuss that at the council meeting. Go over the alternatives and thank you. So, any more discussion on that?
Well, something the Lanier said, we could do our own signs. As opposed to their signs, I don't know if it would really save us money. I don't know if we have personnel that's available now, because we're getting into the season. But that is something we could have done early on, and I think now it may be too late. And their only problem they're having is whoever makes their sign has problems getting material. And they're waiting, I think, 2 to 3 weeks now to get signs. So, well, that said, the sooner we decide what we want to do, the quicker they can get started.
And that's something you can look on, because I mean, I know John Jim keeps some of his own signs too.
Right.
And we have a contractor in town that makes signs for us.
I think the only upfront cost is gonna cost, it is the signs.
Yeah.
You're gonna pay the part. Well, paying them to enforce it, that comes through. Not upfront.
Any more discussion?
I just wanted to say, I think getting the crossover parking is so important, because I really think it's gonna be a challenging year. And we don't have crossover parking control. It's gonna be a nightmare.
Well, something that came up early on when we started talking was it gives us a certain amount of control is going to be in our parking spaces. They're going to be there, they're going to be paying as opposed to free for all. So a lot of this has to do with control, more so than just money.
Yes. Holder.
Yes.
Keating.
Yeah.
Redcliffe.
Yeah.
Jenkins.
Yes.
Drake. Yes. And I'm yes too. So we'll have that on the agenda tonight, but for the next in 2 weeks, we'll report back and we'll have a better understanding. Ken on Mike last time. Where he suggested.
And I will keep you guys.
Yes.
Any more public comments? Any feedback from people here?
Yeah.
Hey, Lynn Levacy, 10th Avenue South. This is probably the best workshop I've ever heard you all have, maybe because there's no cameras. But parking issue is serious here. Couple of things were brought up and it was really comprehensive. It was good, good and bad. But no, it's my vote for putting any pay to park anywhere near our restaurant area up here, anywhere. They love it up there. They have special events. It's so easy for people to access. Also down at the ball field, let's just leave it casual. It's recreational. No paying to park there. People won't park there and go to the beach anyway. The other thing I thought was really kind of exciting because, you know, you've been to a lot of communities where they've taken their downtowns and made community malls, you know, just close the streets and make it all walking and businesses and everything. And actually blocking off that restaurant area, I think it's a great idea. You don't have to stripe it. You just paint it a pretty green and you build barriers. You make people go down First Avenue South, they come down Surfside Drive. It takes the entrance to the hotel away from the heavy. There's a lot of traffic that goes in and out of the hotel right there in that area. Pizza Hyena and Neil and Pam's and so forth. If you took it down First Avenue and pulled in there, and you'd have to work that out with the hotel, but you wouldn't have that entering and exiting from the hotel, which is, you know, that's very dangerous too. But I think that's pretty exciting actually to block off that whole area and just let it be restaurant road. But thank y'all, it was entertaining.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? Okay. name. With that, I think that we're done. I need a motion to adjourn. I'll make a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? This meeting is adjourned.
Did you get